The script is that we are a spiritual being that is having a physical experience. Well, in the advanced learning group, we flip that script and you become a spiritual being having a spiritual experience. The only difference between a physical experience and a spiritual experience is if the consciousness experiencing it has enough presence, enough I amness, enough focus in order to observe the physical data as being spiritual data. And that's a whole lesson in itself. But basically, with enough focus in the here and now, a physical experience becomes a spiritual experience. Spirit is energy. So everything becomes an energetic experience, and consciousness is free flowing. Okay, so what is alignment? Deep within the center of our being, in our energetic presence, we have what's known as our energetic column, which in Eastern philosophy is what the chakras are arranged on. So this column, for one, needs to be aligned, as in straightened, and that's one part of alignment. Another part is tuning the assemblage point. The assemblage point is where your human consciousness meets your spiritual consciousness, where the ego interacts with soul, where the self interacts with God. And that takes place somewhere on the central column. It's constantly fluctuating, whether you're currently heart-based, root-based, emotional-based, speaking, creative, so on and so forth. The assemblage point changes its location, but basically it's an energetically represented like a sphere of connection point, like a round Rubik's cube with interlocking possibilities. And depending on your alignment, you will receive different sets of vibrational or spiritual information. So by having the correct alignment, you can stop receiving strictly third dimensional data from the physical world and begin to receive spiritual data from the fifth dimension. In the pure fifth dimensional state, there is only energy, which is interpreted. The universal energy is a sphere, a single sphere of energy with layers like an onion that get progressively lighter, 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 the further out it goes until it touches the void or touches infinity. So here we are in the third density of the third dimension, highly compressed, highly compacted energy. In this singular sphere of energy, which, by the way, is anchored in the very center of your being, in the heart of God, in the heart of Christ, which is located directly in your center. This is universal center, so deep inside yourself that you would never find it with a scalpel. It's deeper than the physical atoms and molecules even go. This is the anchor point of the observable material universe. Now, I know the telescopes paint an entirely different picture, but one that is not metaphysically true. And when your consciousness opens to these levels, you're going to see clear as day that the center of the universal energy is anchored inside of your heart, and that everything else is an interpretation of this vibration that is a gift from the nervous system of the human body. All of our separation through time and through space is because of the filters of the neuron structure of the brain and the nervous system of the human body. So in this singular sphere of radiant spiritual energy, which in third dimensional spatial terms is about as big as the electromagnetic field of your heart, is contained everything that we perceive in this massively expanded third dimensional universe, because space and time is an interpretation of vibration. In this singular sphere of radiant universal energy is contained the entire bandwidth of observable frequencies. So some of you are in America, some of you are in Europe, some of you might be in Asia like me. And your consciousness is being painted a picture that says that we are separate from each other. We're separated by vast distances of space, but that's not true from a higher level. From the fifth dimensional level, we are separated by frequency, not by space. So the third dimensional world is an interpretation of vibration that is forced upon us by the nervous system of the human body and the neuron structure of the mind. Now, even though it is forced upon us, it is not wise to consider this world as a prison. It is a miracle. It is a gift, because without the nervous system of the human body, you would not be capable of interpreting the universal energy as all of this beauty. You would not have this vessel to express yourself with hands and voice and eyes and ears and tongue and nose. You wouldn't have the sunshine, the air, the water. There would just be this singular sphere of undulating, like a standing wave, radiant spiritual energy composed of different densities. And it's beautiful to experience. It's amazing to experience, especially freshly going from a third dimensional consciousness, but it is not the end all be all. This is closer to the end all be all than that is. That's why we're here. We're learning to interpret the universal energy in new and miraculous ways. So, surrounding the universal energy of which all worlds of space and time are formed from, be it 3D or 4D, surrounding this is a consciousness that knows itself as being itself, knows itself as being the creator of all of these constructs and the universal energy, and holds it together. That's how it maintains its round shape, the singular sphere of universal energy that all worlds are an interpretation of. So surrounding all of this and looking back in is a pure creator consciousness that I call God, the parental. And I was astonished to find inside of that sphere the same thing that surrounds. I found a piece of the infinite, the one, the all, the formless, the nameless, the great I am. And while I was there looking out at the all, I perceived very clearly that this is the consciousness that we call Christ. This is the Son of God. This is the daughter of God. This is the one singular seed aspect from which all of us were created from. God within is a gift. God without is a guide. So we have God the parental, and we have God the Christ, which is held in trust for you by the Christ consciousness until you complete your level of self-mastery, self-love necessary to penetrate these levels and claim this gift for yourself. The seed or the source is in love with the parental. So the heart of Christ reaches out in endless love for the parental consciousness. The parental consciousness reaches in and shares endless love with the Christ consciousness. All of this exchange has created and formed this universal energy that we interpret as worlds of space and time. And it's always growing because Christ keeps loving God. God keeps loving Christ. We keep loving each other. We keep loving God within it. Love creates light, and it grows and it grows and it grows and gets more magnificent, more radiant, more attractive, more beautiful, infinitely. This is what we seek to do in this church. First, we seek to find our true and authentic self as an energetic being. Then we seek to come into communion with the twofold aspect of God. We seek God within. We seek the heart of Christ within inside of our being, and we seek God without. We seek the mind of God in the surroundings. Once we've found the two, we practice love from these two states of being, and we become what I call Christed in your own right. You become an eternal son or daughter of God. But now that we understand the universal construct, how it is that we interpret everything in the third dimension, that we are energetic beings, and how it is that we have a massively enhanced relationship with God, it's through a fifth dimensional connection. This is all about obtaining unity or oneness consciousness with everything that surrounds you and the creator of all of these, the twofold aspects, the heart of Christ and the mind of God.